Welcome back to another video, guys. So you joined me in the shed today. I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas. I know I did, that's why I've had so much time off. But I'm back now and hopefully getting some more, some sort of routine as such, and trying to get some more work done on Rita. So yeah, so my plan today is just getting odds and sods done. I can't really remember where I sort of saved it all off, but we're just going to do little bits of tidying up. And we might even do a mock-up of this cage here, basically. So, like I showed you in one of the previous videos, we got it all in, and it fits really well. Fits really smart, really snug up against all the walls. So I was quite apprehensive to actually see how it fitted, but it fits really well so far. The main hoop does, so that's quite important. So yeah, we're going to try and tackle mocking that up and go from there. I've noticed my steering wheel, the leather perforated steering wheel, starting to go a bit manky, maybe a bit mouldy. So I've just got some cheap interior cleaner, and we're going to give it a little wipe down and go from there. So there we go, guys. Yeah, so we got the steering wheel sorted, all that mould. It wasn't actually embedded, it's just actually on the surface, so saved it just in time. Obviously you don't want to leave that stuff like that too long, especially breathing it in as well is not too good for you. So yeah, that's all nice and clean now. The only thing is with that stuff, that triple QX, I don't use a lot of interior cleaning products, but I just picked that kit up with the cheap set that went on the blue car, because we just needed a cheap set to clean the actual car itself, so I didn't want to use loads of expensive stuff on that because it didn't really need it. But yeah, the smell that they use in it for some reason, this interior cleaner, here it is. It's not like any smell I've ever smelt in any car cleaning products. Bit of a strange one. It's almost like they've doused it in like a men's aftershave. I can't really explain which one, but it's quite pungent. It's weird. Not that it's horrible, but it's just a weird smell. You wouldn't expect that from a car interior cleaner product. So yeah, bit of an odd one there for you. But so yeah, we're going to try and get this cage mocked up. Like I said, we've got the sidebars, the main hoop, and the halo hoop, I believe, part of these bits here. So you've got the main door bars here, and then we just need to mock it up and take those speakers out of each of the parts of the dash on the ends there. I don't know if you can see them. They're going to have to come out, and hopefully we can fit them back in once the cage is in, because we need to notch the dashboard basically, because it will run down and through this part here. So the actual hoop will come through here, come straight out the bottom, and should hopefully hide part of the cage and look quite clean once it's done. But like I say, we need to remove these speakers to actually get it done. Okay, guys. So like I said, yeah, we've got to get these little housings off here basically, so we can get access to the speaker. Take that out, take the vent out, but we just need to take these star bits out here. I think they're like a T20, T15, something like that. So let's go with 20. 20 looks appropriate. Yeah, so a T20 in here. take that out, that pulls out. So that's the whole vent system gone. And then you should be left with something like this basically. So we've got the speaker in there, and like I say, it's going to probably go through where that speaker is, which is a shame. So we might have to either pack that speaker out so it sticks further out and go from there really. You can't really see it too well on the camera, but yeah, it's going to be very close. So we just have to be careful not to cut any wiring, any issues with that, because we've got a lot of wiring around here. So yeah, I'm going to take these speakers out, do the other side, and I'll come back to you in a second. So one speaker. Maybe a small issue is that little white block there. I don't know if you guys can see it. Basically that little block there, I say little, it's quite big, but the size of half the packet, well, 3/4 of a cigarette packet, something like that. So we're going to have to relocate that, which looks like it just clips in anyway, so you have to push that back to the edge of the dash and get that out of the way of the cage somehow. But other than that, we should be pretty clean. We've got this section we're going to have to cut underneath, and we should be able to come out of here somewhere with the cage. I'm going to try and make it as clean cut as possible, and we're going to put the hoop hopefully through it rather than having to cut through this fascia, and try and get it to go through that way. So like I say, I'm going to take out that side and go from there. Alright guys, so after a bit of thinking and sort of putting one of the main hoops here into the car, I tried to work out what I need to cut in that speaker area. So we've got the actual speaker fascias, if you like, here, the vents. Obviously the hoop is actually going to be going through all of this, and we're going to have to cut a slot going into the dash, and then this will hide the slot afterwards once it goes back in. So I'm going to have to figure a way to get this black piece off, and I may have to trim some of the grey piece as well. So yeah, I'm going to have a go at this and prise it off with a screwdriver and see what I can do with it. Right, so there's the back of the vent off. So we're left with this piece here. We don't need this arm or any of that. So take that arm off, get that out of the way. So we want to keep this vent because we want it to look, you know, as stealth as you like, if you like, as clean as possible. So we're going to keep all this fascia. I'm going to try and save the speakers, but it's looking doubtful at the minute, but I'll see what I can do. Yeah, so we might just have to cut some of this plastic back here. I'll give it a mock up and come back. So after seeing what I need to do with this, I think I'm going to try and leave this support here for the vent, which is on this rivet here. And then what we'll do is we'll drill this one out, and we'll cut the inside where there's a hole here already, you can see, and try and join it this way and leave this side alone. Then we might have to match that cut through the top and going all the way through this part here and coming into the dash itself, and then we'll try and push the bar in, and then it's just trial and error. I've never had to do this before. I've never properly fitted one of these roll cages in a car before, so this will be a bit of a learning experience, but I get the gist of how to do it. Obviously I know how to do it, but I've never had to do it. So yeah, so we're going to trim as much as we can. We're going to do a bit at a time, try and get the cleanest fit we can, and then we can obviously put those little grill bits back on the front, and then it should look quite clean from the front. It won't look like we've just hacked the dash away to make it fit. And then if it's not deep enough, then obviously we have to cut a little bit more at the back and push it back, because then it's got to then fit on this bar here where we can put bolts into it. And then obviously that's the foot plate, which is going to be sitting down here on the side of the seal. So we've got to try and mock up where we can and see where everything lands. Basically, there's too many variables at the minute where it might land and where we need to fit it, so I need as much adjustability as possible, but without hacking the dash up too much. Let's give this a go. We're going to give this a go and cut this up and go from there. What I might try to do now is to try and keep these speaker parts. I'm going to try and cut this part here and then cut round into here, so the cage can go in and then go to the left slightly, so we can keep these parts here, maybe keep the speakers. So there we go, guys. So we've got our first couple of cuts there. We've gone right down into the dash here. We've cut through these parts here so that we can keep the original speaker ports, and then cut through the dash here and a little bit behind it to relieve it a little bit from fouling on anything. The only bit we haven't cut is the top bit, which is obviously the most important bit. But I want to see if this goes in so far, and then see where the cage actually falls on this part, and then I can cut this nicely with a hole saw. So that'll be a much neater cut then, with rather than the Dremel. Okay, so if you can see that there, we're fouling on some of the parts around here near the speaker part. So if I trim that there, it looks like we're okay on the right for space, so I don't need to go any more right. And then maybe just skim here just ever so slightly, but it should be alright actually. Might be able to move that out. Let's give that a... See, we're fouling at the top now, so I want to try and keep this ridge here and then try and go within that. So I might try and cut it to that part there where the ridge just meets. Try and cut it there and slot it into the actual dash there. But we've got probably a couple of inches at the top there that we need to meet, so we might have to go quite far back with this, and probably cut maybe all the way to the black part, which is like a good couple of inches back. So yeah, Failing that, if not, I might have to make a cover plate on the top to just make it look a bit neater. Maybe get something 3D printed and cover the hole around it to make it a bit nicer. Can't really do much else other than that. So yeah, we'll get this trimmed up and we'll go from there. Right guys, so we're just going to mark this out on the dash. It's actually a bit further over than I thought where this cage is going to end up. So that's roughly where we're going to want it. It's touching the bottom down there, and then all we need to do now is go to the edge of this, mark where we want to cut it, because we want to make it look as neat as possible there, and just use the roll cage as a guide. Okay, so that should be looking good. And take this back down, and we should be left with a little mark there that you can see, 2 marks. So there are cut lines, and then we can just go into the dash by probably about 50mm or so. We'll join those up at somewhere like that, and then what we'll do is we'll just keep taking some off as and when we need it. Right, there we go guys, so we've got our main hole all cut there. So that was a 51mm hole saw going through there. So you want it a bit wider than the piece of metal that you're obviously putting it into, because you can't obviously trim it after as well when you've done it once with a hole saw, because you use the pilot hole to obviously hold it in, so it's very difficult to do another hole. You can clean it up, but it's better to go a little bit bigger than it is a little bit smaller there. And yeah, so just clean all this up, and then all I need to do is now join the lines off of there off through to the end of the hole there, and we'll just give that a little bit of a clean up and a file, and hopefully this should fit.